Hello and welcome to Mastering IELTS Speaking, the Express course. I'd like to say a warm welcome back to any students who took my IELTS writing courses, and I'd like to say hello to any students who may be new to my courses. It's really great to have you here studying with me. Now, in this course, we're going to focus exclusively on IELTS speaking. And in this lecture, this first lecture, we're going to look at what the course involves. First of all, let me tell you a bit about myself and explain why you should listen to me about IELTS speaking. Well, I've been running a website called The IELTS Teacher since 2013. And in that time, I've given thousands of one-to-one Skype lessons to hundreds of students now. I also run a team of brilliant, highly qualified and highly experienced teachers who provide these lessons too. I've actually been teaching English since 2008. But since around 2012, I decided to focus exclusively on IELTS, building the website a year after that. The majority of our students have gone on to achieve their IELTS goals, and if we think about the speaking test specifically, many of them have achieved Band 7, Band 7.5, Band 8, and in some cases even Band 8.5 and Band 9. Now, because I have spent years now exclusively focusing on IELTS in my lessons, I have learned about the most common mistakes which students make in the speaking test. And I've also been able to formulate a number of strategies to help my students nail the score that they need. And usually, you would have to sign up for Skype lessons to learn about these mistakes and to learn about these strategies. But thanks to Udemy, I'm able to condense all of that information into a 20 lecture course that you can take advantage of. So, who is this course for? This course is for anybody who's aiming to achieve a Band 7 or above in IELTS speaking. If you're aiming to achieve a 6.5 or even a 6, this course could still be very useful for you, but some of the content may be a little bit challenging at times. The course is structured into 5 sections designed to address each part of the speaking test, and that aims to help you to produce confident, accurate answers by focusing on specific band descriptor requirements. The course works because it addresses the most common difficulties encountered when responding to IELTS speaking questions. As I said, I've learnt about these through my years of working with students. It offers a number of clear strategies for tackling the different parts of the speaking test and overcoming these difficulties. And it also gives you a foundation for practice moving forward with your study. So, how is the course structured? Well, right now we're in section 1, which is a general introduction to the course and to the speaking test. So in this lecture here, we're just covering what the course involves, what the structure of the course is, and what are the course aims. In the next lecture, we're going to look at an overview of the entire IELTS exam. And if you feel comfortable with the IELTS exam, if you feel confident with how it's structured and how it's arranged, then you may want to skip this lecture. In lecture 3, we're going to focus on the speaking test individually and how that's structured, the types of questions you might get, and so forth. Again, if you feel comfortable knowing about that, you may want to skip that lecture too. I don't recommend skipping this lecture here. This is a very important lecture, lecture 4, where we look at how the speaking test is marked, and we look at the different band descriptor categories: fluency and coherence, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. In section 2, we'll look at the first part of the speaking test, which is called the interview stage. Now, each of the lectures inside section 2, section 3, and section 4 are going to focus on a specific band descriptor category. So the first lecture in section 2 is going to focus on fluency and coherence. We're going to look at how you get started with your answers in part 1. The next part will be about paraphrasing, and this is your vocabulary, or what's known as your lexical resource. After that, we'll be looking at grammatical range and accuracy, and accurately identifying the question in order to answer in a grammatically accurate way. And finally, with pronunciation, we're going to look at recognizing our weaknesses with a specific focus on individual sounds within words. In section 3, we're going to look at part 2, which is called the long turn, or you may know it as the 2-minute talk. With the areas that we're going to cover, if we think about fluency and coherence first, we're going to look at the idea of segmenting and using the ACE strategy, which I have formulated through my years of working with students, and I have found really helps them to create a structured, confident answer in part 2. In terms of lexical resource, we're going to focus on the most common mistakes that are made in terms of vocabulary, and it's going to be a similar story in the next lecture for grammatical range and accuracy, where we'll focus on the most common grammar mistakes and how we can avoid making these mistakes ourselves. In pronunciation, we're going to focus on syllable stress and why that's such an important part of your pronunciation. Now, the final part of the speaking exam is part 3. This is called the discussion stage, and we'll look at this in section 4. The areas that we're going to cover are, first of all, discourse markers and listing, and this will have a big impact on your fluency and coherence. Don't worry if you don't know what those are right now, we will cover those when we get there. In the lexical resource section, we're going to focus on idioms and collocations. In the grammatical range and accuracy section, we're going to start bringing in complex sentences in order to get that range of grammar that we need to score a band 7 and above. And the final lecture of this section will focus on sentence stress and intonation and how that has a big impact on whether you pronounce the English language correctly. Okay, the final section in this course is going to focus on a conclusion, a summary, but also introducing some new ideas. First of all, we're going to think about how you can handle your anxiety a little bit better. It's often the case that anxiety is the reason why many students struggle to get the score they need. They have the ability, but on exam day, everything comes away. So we'll look at how to handle that. We'll look at getting guidance. Speaking is an active activity. It's not passive. You produce your words. You don't take them in. So it's very important that you get guidance to check that you're going in the right direction. We'll look at some secrets to success. Now, this is going to be one of my favorite lectures because it's in this lecture that we'll learn about all the little bits and pieces that maybe didn't apply to the earlier lectures, but that are going to make a big difference to your score. All the tips and techniques that you can employ when you are giving your speaking answers. Finally, again, another very important lecture, we're going to look at a model answer for part 1, for part 2, and for part 3. So you can see exactly what a top scoring answer looks like in the speaking exam. Now, I want to clarify exactly what this course is, but also what it is not, because I don't want people getting the wrong idea about what this course will contain. So let's start by looking at what the course is not. The course is not a vocabulary booster. There are a number of other Udemy courses which aim to provide you with new vocabulary in specific topics. This is not one of those courses, so don't come into this course expecting to dramatically improve your vocabulary. We will look at new vocabulary, but it will come up organically rather than looking at vocabulary lists. This course is not a grammar fixer. Again, we are going to look at important grammar points in this course, but other courses aim to improve your grammar as their main intention. This course is not a pronunciation coach. Same thing, there are other courses on Udemy which will help you in this regard. I'm hoping, again, that we will improve your pronunciation as a byproduct of taking this course, but we're not going to focus on improving every aspect of your pronunciation. So what is this course exactly? This course is a 20-lecture crash course on how to improve your IELTS speaking score as soon as possible by highlighting a number of helpful strategies you can use and revealing the most common mistakes that students make. But to make the most of this course, you should really find a tutor to practice with so you can make sure you're implementing the advice properly. With this in mind, let's think about how to approach this course. My recommendation is that you try to complete this course within 2 weeks. It's called an express course for a reason. If your exam is coming up soon, this is the course to take. If your exam is coming up a long time from now, this is still the course to take, but you can take your time with it a little bit more, particularly if you have responsibilities. To make the most of this course, you should do a number of things. First of all, bring a focused and committed attitude to every lecture. Don't just sit there passively absorbing the information. Do take notes as you listen to what I'm saying. Make sure you continue to practice alone by answering and recording IELTS speaking questions frequently. Make sure you try to listen to at least 2 podcasts or educational YouTube videos in English every day. It's not enough to go on YouTube and watch cat videos, amusing as they are. They are not going to help your English. But if you watch things like TED Ed, even the TED videos themselves, the School of Life, and podcasts which are educational in particular, this is going to have a big impact on your pronunciation and on your vocabulary. And in some aspects on your grammar as well, absorbing that language. You should find an IELTS speaking tutor with whom you can practice. Of course, you can go to our website, theieltsteacher.com, and find a tutor. This is not the only place you can go. There are language exchange websites where you can practice with somebody who wants to learn your language. There are other websites you can focus on, Verbal Planet and italki and websites like these. But it's really important, particularly for the speaking, that you find someone with whom you can practice. Finally, try to enjoy the process. You know, some of the questions that you get in IELTS are quite silly in a way. Some of them are very interesting. They really make us think. And if we approach the course with the intention of trying to enjoy it instead of just take something out of it in terms of our score, then the process will be much more painless and we may absorb a lot more as a result. If you do need to contact me, please don't hesitate to do so. I do read everything you send. You can contact me via Udemy. Use the comment function at the side of the page. You can email me at matt@theieltsteacher.com. You can find my Facebook, facebook.com/theieltsteacher. Same for Twitter. And of course, I've spoken about my website where you can learn about what I do, which is www.theieltsteacher.com. Okay, that's it for lecture 1. I look forward to getting started with you on this journey to improving your IELTS speaking, and I will see you in lecture 2.